to God is a Geek podcast, your new favourite podcast about video games, Jay-Z spearheading a tidal wave to change the face of music, King Kane netting successfully in his first international game, and Seth Rollins cashing in and becoming the world heavyweight champion at WrestleMania. I am your host, Colm Ahern, and with me this week is the man of the hour, too sweet to be sour. What you see is what you get, and what you don't is better yet. He's the women's pick, the men's regret, and if you gamble against him, you made a bad bet now. It's Nailz, it's Dan Naylor.
Hello. That makes me crack up every week. I love it.
Dan, we are in the presence of greatness because we don't have my personal aphrodisiac Calvin Robinson this week. However, we do have the excellence of esports. It's Mike Stubbsy.
Yeah, hello.
Hello, Stubbsy. I feel like I pressure everyone into a kind of an over-exaggerated hello when they come on because of the elaborate announcements of them being on the podcast, but everyone on this podcast deserves it, because you are all lovely people. Right, before we get on to video games, well, first of all, I do want to say, if you like wrestling, we did a WrestleMania 31 podcast, myself, Stubbsy, and Mr. Dan Murphy, the other Dan. I know Nailz doesn't like other people having his name. Or I'm sorry, Nailz, there is another person with your name. The surname is different, so it's okay. But the three of us did a WrestleMania 31 kind of a review sort of podcast, and we looked at the Raw the night after as well. So give that a listen if you're into wrestling, or if you're not, maybe you might enjoy it. But one of the things I mentioned in my opening spiel was Tidal. Right? Are both of you familiar with what Tidal is?
Yeah, a bit. It's a Spotify by people who don't like Spotify, like artists who, I don't know, are kind of sick of it or something.
Yeah, like so I missed the announcement of it, but I saw it, I don't know, I did a couple of days afterwards. Mainly because I was drawn in by a ridiculous picture of Madonna stood next to Deadmau5 in full rig out of mouse head on his face. I don't know. There's something about it that it doesn't sit right with me at all. That you have Jay-Z, Kanye West, Daft Punk are involved, Chris Martin, Madonna, as I said, Deadmau5. I think Jack White is there as well, and apparently, there's a load of these celebrities who co-own Tidal, and it's like if you want a good chuckle, watch the trailer for it. It's about 2 minutes of Kanye West and all the lads saying we're going to change the face of music. This is going to be different. It's going to be, we're pioneers, man. This is going to be great. And it's like, you're doing Spotify, lads, for a tenner more.
Have you seen the UI though of it?
No.
It's exactly the same as Spotify. Like, I'm not exaggerating. You know how Spotify's got those tiles nowadays?
Yeah.
The names, and it's got the little icons. They've basically changed the sidebar style a bit, and then changed the icons on the tiles, but kept the tiles the same size, the same titles for them, so it's still party, dance, all that. It's the exact same thing, and as you say, for, more money.
Like, I mean, I don't know the breakdown of what these people make when you listen to their stuff on Spotify. There's just, I don't know, there's something about it that just doesn't really sit right with me. I don't know. Similar to esports, really. Not that there's anything sordid about esports. I'd never suggest anything like that. I don't get it. Stubbsy, you get it. And you've been playing SMITE?
I have, but I've been playing SMITE on Xbox One.
Ooh.
The alpha for SMITE Xbox One launched a few months ago, I want to say. Although it is invite only, so you do need a code. And for those of you that don't know, SMITE is a MOBA, which we've tried to explain before on here, and it didn't go particularly well. So if you don't know what it means, go Google it, then you'll figure it out.
Alright, okay.
But basically, the Xbox One version is almost a direct port of the PC version, and when it launches properly, it pretty much will be. obviously, being in alpha, there's still quite a few kinks to work out. That being said, it translates surprisingly well to the console, because traditionally with MOBAs you have a sort of isometric view, and you have to click everywhere, which really wouldn't work on console at all. But SMITE has the advantage of being in the third person, so you control your character pretty much as you would any third-person game. You use right trigger to auto-attack, so that's basically like firing a weapon in a third-person shooter. Your abilities are mapped to, on the Xbox One, it's A, B, X, Y, and items, you just hold LB and press A, B, X, Y, so the controls have been worked out really, really well. And while I wouldn't go so far as to say it's better on Xbox One, it's better than I expected it to be. There's still a few things that need to work out, like, I don't think all the game modes are available all the time at the minute, which kind of sucks, because I'm only really interested in, I can't remember what they call it, but the 5v5 proper game mode. I think all the others are pointless, but...
So everything from the PC version isn't in the Xbox One version right now?
Not right now, because it's in alpha. But I think the idea is that once it gets to full launch, it will be exactly the same as the PC version, and eventually you'll be able to merge the two accounts, so anything you unlock on PC, you'll also unlock on Xbox One.
Will you be able to play cross-platform at all?
I don't think they're doing cross-platform. That may change, although I very much doubt it, purely because it's like the old shooter debate when people were saying, like, why can't you do cross-platform Counter-Strike? Well, the people on mouse and keyboard would probably have an advantage over those on console, and while it would be less of a case for SMITE, I do still think mouse and keyboard is the way to play it, and it would just have a slight unfair balance to it. But I don't think it's going to be an issue not having crossplay, because I'm sure once it opens up to everyone, the console fans are going to realise how great MOBAs are, and I think it'll really take off on console and could do really, really well.
Like, I know you do bring up the kind of, say, the FPS, like when you talk about cross-platform stuff, like if you had lads playing Battlefield on Origin and playing on their PS4, the idea is great, but yeah, it wouldn't really work because the PC players are at an advantage, because it's just it's much more precise. But is there, because I don't really know an awful lot about SMITE, shock horror, is it kind of that type of Twitch really quick kind of thing, like a first person shooter where you really need to be on your toes? Like, could it work?
There is areas of the Twitch sort of gameplay, more so than a lot more MOBAs, purely because of the viewpoint that you're in. So some abilities on certain characters will see you jump a certain distance, and then you have to quickly rely on button timings and stuff like that, which is something that isn't always in other MOBAs. It's a lot... SMITE, when the fights break out, is a lot faster paced than others.
Right.
And I think just having the ease of the keyboard there is going to be... Just be able to press multiple buttons within seconds of each other, like milliseconds of each other, is going to be a lot easier to pull off than doing it on a controller. It could feasibly work, I don't see them doing it at all.
I don't know. Like, do you really think that this is going to take the console world by storm?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it'll do Call of Duty numbers or anything like that, but it will definitely have a very active player base. And I don't.
But like when you look at like MOBAs or in the console space, like Awesome Knots didn't really set the world alight, did it?
No, but that's because nobody really
likes Awesome Knots.
Sounds harsh to say, but yeah, and
right, okay.
It also, they didn't really market it. They marketed it really weirdly. For being a MOBA, I thought. Whereas SMITE is coming in, and everything you see, they basically are saying, look, we're like Dota and League of Legends, just in the third person. That's basically their marketing campaign. So I think people that are going to get into it, they're going to know what they're getting into before they play it, I feel. And the tutorials, even though I don't think they're quite complete on the Xbox One, they're really good. I think they're the best in any of the MOBAs that I've played. And as a result, I think people will jump in, play the tutorial, and then they'll think, actually, this is really quite cool, and stick with it.
I mean, if they don't like it, they can just hop on their bike and leave or something. Just like you did, Nailz, when you played Ride. What a fucking terrible name for a video game. Ride.
All capitals as well. Yeah, Ride. It's the new motorcycle racing game from Milestone. They make a couple. They've made MXGP and things like this. I think that's the initials. I hope that's the initials. Never mind. It's got an M, P, and letters in anyway. In some order. Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, I kind of said it in my review. It's Gran Turismo for bikes, as far as I can tell. I mean, I'm not a massive motorcycle person myself. I don't know about either of you two. I imagine you are, Colm, for some reason.
Oh, putting on the leathers and going on the highway. No, the extent of my knowledge of motorcycles is from Sons of Anarchy, basically. And okay. People who are far cooler than me, I would expect you, Nailz, to be honest, would actually hop on their bikes and go on the open road. Be badasses. I can't. It's scary. I don't like it. I find it terrifying. I'm much happier in a car where it's more relaxed, like on a bike. I don't like it. I don't like it, Nailz. But tell me about Ride. You liked Ride.
I did like Ride. It's fantastic. The handling model's excellent, as you'd expect. You know, you've got to be a lot. It's more about shifting your weight, and you've got to plan a corner much further in advance and things like that. So, you know, it's got all the trappings of a modern racer. It's got your rewind feature. It's got your cornering line, and you know the braking colours and what speed you need to be going at and things. So it drags that from any other racer, but it just puts this handling model on top that's just. It's just really satisfying. Like it's all about sticking to your line a lot more than it is in instead of like Forza where you can kind of get away if you stray off the line a bit. This is a lot more like the F1 games where you know sticking to the line is important because it then leads you into the next corner perfectly. And because of the bike and how long it takes to shift your weight, nailing that line, you know, around a track is so important. But it's so satisfying when you get it right. It's got some problems. The AI is maybe a little bit wooden, and because they all stick to the racing line, there's not much opportunities for overtaking. Which I don't know. That doesn't seem like real motorbike racing because I've seen a couple of races, and I don't know. They seem to overtake a bit more than that. But no, it's a really satisfying racer. And if you're into your bikes, I mean, there's over 100, you know, to peruse and choose and upgrade and tweak and all this. You know, you can upgrade the engine, the air filters, all that kind of stuff.
Is it all real courses as well?
I think most of them are real courses. I don't know if they all are. It's got like Donington from England. It's got what's it called? Zolder. It's a Belgian racetrack.
Okay.
And a couple of others. There's only about 15 tracks. There's not many tracks. Thing, but the campaign mode's pretty satisfying. It's basically set out as a world tour, but you've got. You know, all the different classes of bikes and within them, like little subsections. So it's like super bikes and then one's stripped out for racing or one's, you know, just regular bikes kind of things and then power rates and things. It's all quite nice. And rather than something like, I don't know, the Dirt games or even MXGP, which was a motocross racing game where you kind of, you're the racer living out of a trailer and, you know, you look around the trailer and that's your kind of menu hub screen. This, you're actually outside a stately home. That's obviously your driver's home because he's loaded and you see all your bikes out in the front of it. And it's just quite classy and quite nice.
All right. Yeah, well, it does sound... like you compare it to Gran Turismo, it sounds like it does have those kind of simulator sensibilities.
Yes, definitely. And you can vary it and make it more arcade or more, simmy with the physics, which you can change, or you've got all the ABS options and all that kind of stuff that you find in most games.
Well, Nailz, as I said about people who do ride bikes, I kind of look at them as heroes somewhat because it's something that I couldn't do. I would be too frightened to do it. And of course, as I know and you know, Nailz, we do have a hero in our presence. Mr. Mike Stubbsy. Now, Stubbsy, when you're not out fighting crime, you enjoy a good game of Marvel Heroes 2015.
Wow, that was incredible, Colm. That was the best one yet. But yeah, I have been playing Marvel Heroes 2015, which is the relaunched version of Marvel Heroes. Marvel Heroes, the base game, is basically Diablo, but with Marvel superheroes and kind of MMO influences. I believe the guy who was in charge of it was one of the original Diablo guys. So it's very similar in gameplay terms. But obviously, instead of playing like a barbarian or a wizard, you're playing as Iron Man and Thor and all the best Marvel superheroes.
Now, is this different? Here's where I show my knowledge of all things comics and stuff. Is this different to Infinite Chaos?
Infinite Crisis.
Infinite Crisis.
I think it's Infinite Crisis.
Is that DC?
Infinite Crisis is DC, and I want to say that's a MOBA.
Okay.
So that is more like Dota based, whereas this is basically, if you've ever played Diablo, you know what this is. You run around, you kill lots of enemies, you get loot, and there is a storyline to it. Although the key sort of selling point to Marvel Heroes is that it's also got MMO aspects, so you can go into like open areas where there can be loads of other superheroes running around, and a bit like random events in Destiny, like a supervillain might spawn and it might have loads of health, so it might take 10 or so of you to take him down and get the rewards. But the story sort of area is generally single player, or I think you can party up in small groups. So it's a bit like an instance in sort of WoW or something like that.
And does it restrict how many people you can party up with?
I think it does. I don't know the exact number because I don't have any friends that play it, sad face. But yeah, I imagine it would do.
What is the story?
Well, I originally played the base game like when it first launched, which would have been probably 2013. So this is very much pulling from old memories. But I want to say there was something about Doctor Doom or someone who basically just wanted to destroy the world, as most Marvel supervillains do.
Indeed, yeah.
And you basically had to stop him by going to all these locations and trying to get something that I can't remember what it was. It might
probably a crystal or something.
Yeah, it might have been like one of the Q, like, you know, the Tesseract from the...
Yeah.
It could have been something like that. That rings a bell. But with the... I've literally jumped back into it this week after a couple of years of not playing it. And the 2015 relaunch has changed quite a bit. I think there is a few new story elements which I haven't got through yet, and there's loads of new systems, and there's like loads of new heroes as well. So like when I first played it, there was a decent amount of superheroes that you could play, but it wasn't like any Marvel fan would sort of look at the original roster and go, well, it's missing this and this and this. But now I'd say it's a very complete roundup. There's pretty much anyone that any casual fans that like Marvel will not be disappointed with.
Any fans
characters.
of the films, basically.
Yeah, everyone you can think of will be in there. And then for comics fans, there's obviously still going to be one or two that are missing, but even then there's some more niche choices. And Spider-Man's in there, which is nice considering he's not in the cinematic universe.
Very true. Can you... So I suppose a more direct comparison than, say, Infinite, whatever the fuck you call it, Crisis, would be DC Universe Online? Would I be right in saying that?
Yeah, I never played that. Was that more of an MMO directly?
I believe that was.
MMO,
yeah, I believe that was. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
MMO.
like, if you mash DC Universe Online and Diablo, and then just change it from the DC Universe to the Marvel Universe, that's pretty much what this is.
And so when you start the game, you are choosing from just stock superheroes. Like, you can't create your own, because I believe in DC Universe you could.
No, you can only play the pre-built Marvel superheroes, so like Thor, Iron Man, and all that jazz.
Yeah, but I mean that's cool, because you can, I suppose, play out I don't know, fantasies you have of dressing up in spandex and pretending you're Robert Downey Jr. or your man from Home and Away who was Thor. And he's a very, very handsome man. Gorgeous, handsome man. Just like the Handsome Collection.
That was better, but still not great.
You've been playing more of Borderlands: The Handsome Collection. Last time we checked in with you, I think you would only kind of started it, I want to say.
I hadn't played much. So at the point I'm at now, I'm very near the end of the main story of Borderlands 2. But the thing I've really been doing is the DLC, because I never played that first time round. Like, I played through Borderlands 2 originally, but never bought any of it. And it's all really good.
So I hear, yeah.
Yeah, just fantastic. Like, the storylines are pretty engaging for DLC. At least the 4 main bits. I've done the Pirates Booty and quite a bit of the Mr. Talk's campaign of Carnage, I think it's called. And you can kind of see, betrayals coming, but it's quite self-aware on that. At one point, it just goes, yeah, this person is just going to betray you at one point. This is going to happen. Just deal with it. It'll be a laugh. Right. And it is, genuinely funny. There are some kind of little twists in it, which are pretty nice. And even the themed content from Holidays, which was free downloads in the original, but I never played them either. So there's like a Christmas one, a Halloween one, a Valentine's Day one, and I can't remember. A Thanksgiving one, because it's American. And they're all pretty short. They're like fetch quests and then a boss. But again, they're pretty inventive, pretty fun. And just the amount of content in that game, because obviously there's a prequel as well to play through, and it's DLC. I mean, it's insane. There's just so much to do. You don't need another video game right now.
Yeah, I remember they were putting out DLC for Borderlands 2 for at least a year, maybe a year and a half, maybe more even.
Could have been a year and a half. Because, there was these 4 DLC packs, and then there was the 5 little free update ones. But I don't think they started until after... I don't know, were they straight after the game launched? Because the game launched in about September. So yeah, it was probably then, and then they did these. I don't think the first proper DLC landed until the following 6 months later. So yeah, it probably was about a year and a half.
Do any of the DLC packs that you play, do they fundamentally change the game in any way?
No.
Like the Tiny Tina thing. Did you play that?
I haven't yet. You need to be about level 30 to do that, and my guy's level 27. So I'm going into that soon.
Because that thing sounds really cool. I know it's still Borderlands, but just it kind of changes it in that it's like, and you're playing a kind of a Dungeons and Dragons thing or something.
I think it starts when you all sat around with some of the main characters from the game after the events of the main campaign. Playing, I think it's Dungeons and Dragons with Tiny Tina as the kind of dungeon master, and then I don't know if you get sucked in or if it's just in your head or whatever. But yeah, you start fighting fantasy monsters and things like that, as far as I know. So
that you have to be level 30 to get to that, is it?
Yeah, I think so. I think you can. I can technically start it now. I wouldn't get anywhere, because all of the DLC options are available straight from the beginning of the game. But I basically tried a couple by accident. I didn't know where they were, so I was just teleporting to these places, and it was like, oh, all the enemies are level 15. I'm level 2. This isn't going to work. So yeah, but when you get that kind of when you reach the levels, you can kind of enter them at any point, and they'll be tailored for whatever level you first go there at, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, that all sounds lovely. I haven't played anything. I've just watched loads of wrestling, pretty much. And as I said, listen to the podcast. Because I actually do have... I have Borderlands. I have... What else do I have? I have Bloodborne. I have something... I've Ori. I've like all the hot new products that all the kids are talking about, but I'm sorry, I was watching sweaty, muscle-bound men get even more sweaty together.
I think I need to confiscate your copy of Bloodborne just for that, to be honest.
Which brings us nicely, because we're talking about fighting, and we're going to talk about more fighting and things in our talking point this week, because it was April Fool's Day yesterday maybe when you're listening to this, if you're listening to this when we put it up. And, every announcement is bullshit. You don't take anything seriously, because how can you? It's just all bullshit. However, Nintendo did announce that they were doing a Nintendo Direct, which at first people were thinking, this is just going to be some elaborate joke. Reggie Fils-Aimé is going to be eating chips sitting down in a chair in a lovely white room for a half an hour. But it wasn't. They actually did announce a couple of things. So I suppose, first of all, they announced that there's going to be 2 new characters in Smash Brothers. You have Lucas and you have Mewtwo. Now, first of all, who the fuck is Lucas?
He's from whatever game Ness is from.
Oh,
Earthbound?
Earthbound. Yeah.
Right.
There are people, granddads listening to this, who are very cross at us now. I'm sorry, we're youthful. We don't know your old game. And they also announced that you can buy characters separately, I believe, Nailz.
Yes, so Mewtwo's going to be out the end of this month, I think. I might be making that up. I can't remember.
The 28th.
28th of this month. So, Mewtwo's going to be out the 28th of this month, and it's just Mewtwo you get for the price, and it's going to be $3.59 pounds.
That is steep.
That's steep for one character. Like, even if they'd thrown in a new stage with that would have been a little bit better. But yeah, I mean, that's too much for me to go down for just one new character, I guess.
Without a doubt, that's very expensive. Like, when you compare it to their other DLC, the Mario Kart DLC, which I thought was actually, it was competitively priced. I can't remember the price now, but it was
£7-8, wasn't it?
Something along those lines, where you were getting, was it 4 new characters and 8 new tracks?
8 new tracks, 3 new characters, and 4 new carts, I believe.
Yeah, I was like, holy shit, in comparison to $3.59 for one character.
Yeah, I guess, though, I mean, Mikey, how much is, like, a new character in League of Legends or Dota?
Well, Dota's fantastic because all characters are always free. You only have to pay for hats. Which, ashamedly...
You can tell I pay attention to esports, so.
Yeah, I've put about 120 quid into hats on Dota.
Wow. Jesus.
But League, this is where I'm going to sound awful, League you do have to buy characters in League, and I can't tell you how much they are because you have to convert them. I don't think you could buy it directly for cash. I think you have to convert it into some form of dodgy currency, which I have no idea how much it costs.
Some sort of League of Legends gems or something.
Yeah, although they do change, so I think it's, depending on how long a character has been out, the cheaper it gets. So every time like a new round of characters is released, the oldest round will like drop in price and so on. So I imagine some of them are quite cheap, probably sort of £3 maybe. That's a total guess. But then new ones will be considerably more. I know Heroes of the Storm, which is Blizzard's MOBA. A lot of people have been saying that their microtransactions are actually really overpriced. But characters in that go for, I think they can go up to about 10 quid's worth in...
Jesus!
But I think that's like the first week they are released, it will be about that. So, as someone who plays MOBAs, $3.59, I would say that's alright.
Really?
And it's probably a similar idea, because this is a character that you use. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And of course, the thing with Mewtwo and Lucas is they've both been in Mario, in Smash Brothers games before. Lucas is from Melee, however you say it.
Yeah.
I think. And Mewtwo was in the Wii one, I believe. Was that Brawl?
That was Brawl, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that's why, I don't know, I guess that's maybe why the price point is as it is, and it will appeal to some people.
Perhaps. Just like old games appeal to some people as well, because you've a crop of N64 and DS games coming to the Wii U via Virtual Console. There's Mario 64, Donkey Kong 64, the Mario Kart on DS, WarioWare Touched. I believe they're the first crop of games which you can actually get now, and there's some coming in the future. Does this appeal? I suppose. Did either of you play these games kind of growing up? Because I think a lot of the, say, if games aren't remastered, I think if they're just put onto current hardware as their old form, just they haven't really been touched up in any way, they appeal more to the people that actually grew up with those games. Let's say it's kind of more of a nostalgia factor.
Yeah, I mean, I've played Mario 64 before, and I think I've got it on DS somewhere, and I've got the Mario Kart DS as well from years ago. And yeah, I played them a lot. I can't say I'm interested in this, but I think you're right. I think a lot of it is the nostalgia factor, because the Club of Nintendo's closing down, and they added loads of downloadable games to redeem your stars on recently. For the European market, the US ones had, and Japan have had it for a while, I believe. And I got a couple of the Zelda titles on there because I had quite a few points. And I've played them once, and yeah, I mean, they have no memories for me, so these are just old games, and I just can't get into them. They just feel really archaic and just not pleasant to play. And
Stubbsy doesn't have time for console games.
No, for console games. It's all about Dota.
I mean, look, horses for courses, but it's not for me. However, do we know what they're going for price wise? Because I know, like, traditionally games on the Wii U, old games, are extortionately priced.
Well, yeah, I think I can't remember how much they said it was. I don't know if they showed it on the EU stream that I was watching. I was typing as we kind of went, but I know that I think on the US stream, I think they're like $2 maybe to start with.
Alright, $2 is
for like
alright.
The first week, I think, but then it goes up in price. So I don't know if the EU's got something similar. I do know that if you buy three of the original launch titles for a limited time, you get the fourth one free. So I don't know if that's maybe for us, and for them it's they've got the $2 thing. But
right, yeah. There was a couple of other things announced. The Mario Kart DLC has been brought forward, which in this age of delays is quite, just different and nice, really. So the second DLC pack is coming on the 23rd of April. It was meant to be out in May. Yeah, and there's 8 new tracks. There's a couple of new characters as well, I believe. Is it 3 new characters again in this one, Dan?
Yeah, Villager, Isabella, and Dry Bowser.
And you have, there's a 200cc mode as well.
Well, that's going to be a free update for everybody at the same on the same day as the new pack comes out. Because obviously, traditionally, you've normally had the 50cc, 100cc, and 150cc speed carts. So it doesn't increase the difficulty of the AI. It'll just make the carts a lot faster. Yeah.
I mean, I think they've supported Mario Kart 8 so well. I really do. I've been very impressed with, in comparison to some of their other games, or how they've treated DLC in the past, which has been not really at all. Mario Kart 8 appears to be something that they are kind of going to be supporting for possibly years, because I want to say that Reggie even came out maybe sometime last year and actually said that there won't be any other Mario Karts on the Wii U. It's Mario Kart 8 and that's it. And we will be updating it with more characters, more tracks, stuff like that. And I think that's brilliant, because it's a fantastic game. There was a couple of other things as well. There was something about Amiibos, Dan?
So they announced quite a few new Amiibos during the presentation. So you've got a woolen knitted Amiibo, a Yoshi Amiibo.
Actually knitted.
Actually knitted, apparently.
All right.
To go with Yoshi's Woolly World.
That sounds delightful.
Yeah. They also announced 3 new Amiibos for Splatoon. So one of the male character, one of the female character, and one of the little squid thing. Mm-hmm. And the squid one will only be available in a special edition bundle with the game at launch. because they love driving up the prices of these amiibos.
Of course.
And then they announced amiibo cards and these are Animal Crossing themed ones, and they'll be for use in Animal Crossing. I can't remember its name now. Happy Home or something like that. And they were rumored a while ago for people who weren't bothered about collecting the amiibos but wanted the interactions of them in the games. So in a way, it's kind of a smart idea.
So is this like, will they be retailing for cheaper so than the amiibos? Is this
I'd hope so. I can't see them charging 10 quid for one card.
For a card.
What you might find is they sell packs of them, say packs of 3 or 4 for the same price kind of thing. But at least you'll be getting more characters to play with. Because I must admit, I have got an amiibo here, but I'm not that bothered about it. It just sits on a shelf most of the time, apart from when I'm using a game. I don't really look at it. To be honest, it just looks a bit daft on its own because I'm not someone who collects these kind of figures. So the cards probably would appeal to me more. I don't know about you guys.
I think the card thing is better too, to be honest. Like, because what you say there about, like, they can't charge a tenner for one card, surely not. So it could be a case of, for the price of one amiibo, you get 3 or 4 cards, as you said, and then you can avail of all the things that the amiibos do within your games, just not have little ornaments around your house. Like, I don't know. I've always, the amiibo thing anyway is just, I didn't grow up on Nintendo, so a lot of these characters I don't know, they just don't hold a special place with me at all, whereas some other people go absolutely mental for them and want to collect them all a la Pokemon, and it's just I don't know, whatever you're into, really, I suppose.
Can I just jump in on this?
Yes, yeah, of course.
Am I right in thinking that these amiibo cards also work with the new 3DS, or am I just high and making that up?
Nailz,
can you feel this? Amiibos do work with the new 3DS, but I don't know what games support it yet. Smash Brothers might.
See, I think if these cards are like designed for the DS range, then that's a much better idea, because like you can get away with it with like figure amiibos on the gamepad, because like you're in your house and the gamepad's quite large. But if you're like sat on a train playing your 3DS and you're trying to
just go into your bag and take out all your small little toys,
you're going to look like a bit of an idiot. So I think the cards idea for 3DS is better, but again, I could be making that up.
In fact, you were right. The Animal Crossing game, so I just looked it up now, because that Animal Crossing game I mentioned, that is on 3DS.
So I think that would work quite well.
So it does make use of it.
Yeah, that would work.
Was there anything else, Nailz? There was some Fire Emblem.
They announced a few more details about the new Fire Emblem game, which they announced in their last Nintendo Direct back in January. So details are still pretty scarce. It's going to have 2 sides to the story, and you can kind of pick which side to go down, and they'll give you a different story experience. And they'll also, one will be harder and be more challenging and a bit more complex than the other, but they didn't really go into any more details than that.
Was it an exciting Nintendo Direct?
It was a pretty good Nintendo Direct. I mean, you said it yourself, against the backdrop of April Fool's, when it was a very slow news day, and in the build-up to Easter, where there just isn't much going on at the moment, they've put their stuff on the headlines, and it'll probably be on the headlines until next Tuesday, because nothing else is going to happen now until then.
Very true, yeah.
So whether it was exciting or not, it's probably not that important. It was pretty interesting. I did like some of the stuff. Seeing a bit more of the Mario Kart DLC was cool, and the Smash Brothers thing. Because one thing we've not talked about is, of course, you're allowed to vote on your Smash. They're putting out the Smash Brothers Fighter ballot, where you can vote on characters to be included as DLC in the Wii U and 3DS versions of the game.
Yeah, so what is, like, is this actually picked from characters who have been in previous Smash Brothers games?
No, it's an online form, and you fill it in and you write which character you want, what game they're from, and I think why you want them in it. And you just submit this form. I think you can do it as many times as you like, and it's not like a drop down box. You just write who you want for the
Nintendo
universe. There's no guarantee that they'll make any of them, even the winning one. But I think I think it's more to see what fans want, who they want in the game, not maybe, not guaranteeing it's there, but using it as kind of a guide for future DLC. Because let's face it, if they see someone's, really popular, they're going to put him in because people are going to buy it for $3.59.
Of course, yeah.
So it's not. I doubt it'll be ignored, but there's no guarantee that if people pick some random person, I can't think of any Nintendo characters that are
Cranky Kong.
Right? Yes, Cranky Kong. There's no guarantee that, because people do this kind of thing with these online forums. They hijack them. It's what the internet is. They're not going to put in someone absolutely daft, that's clearly, an outlier. But you'll probably get a wider variety. I wouldn't be surprised to see like Toad or someone in the game soon.
I fucking hate Toad. Fucking asshole. He's just an annoying little cunt.
What did he ever do to you?
You were almost a Jill sandwich.
Metal Gear.
It's me, Mario.
Do a barrel roll.
Oh, this is space. I'm in space.
Hail to the king, baby.
Yes. Guess who, of course, is a little quiz we do here on the God is Geek podcast, where I give 5 clues to the identity of a video game character, and you, in this case, Nailz and Stubbsy, must guess correctly. Now, when you think you have an answer, shout out your name and tell me what you're thinking, but lads, be careful, as you only have 3 guesses. To the victor go the spoils. Clue number 1. I first appeared in a video game in 2012 on PC.
Bollocks.
Clue number 2. I'm in Dota. No. Clue number 2. My sequel came to Xboxes and PlayStations and is even coming to the Wii U. Clue number 3. I'm a very sharply dressed man, as you'll never see me in anything less than a lovely suit. Clue number 4. I was actually created a few years before my first game, on a forum of all things. Clue number 5. My legend has grown a lot in a short time, and people now look at my slight-figured, featureless face as an urban legend.
Oh, Dan, it's Slenderman.
Nails. That man, you are the impenetrable force when it comes to Guess Who. Nobody can fucking take the game to Mr. Dan Naylor. Of course, I was just saying that my legend has grown a lot in short time, and people now look at my slight-figured, featureless face as an urban legend up there with the Boogeyman and the Blair Witch. If you look through, like, Slenderman, just look through his Wikipedia page, it's fucking mental. Like, how it just started on, I think it was Bloody Disgusting, on their forum. And just somehow became this thing that certain people, well, I don't know whether they believed it or not, but there was like, I think there was someone killed somewhere and they blamed the Slender Man. It's very weird and incredibly dark. Possibly too dark for this podcast. So yeah, we'll end it there. Thanks very much for listening to the God is Geek podcast. Of course, we do implore you, please rate us and review us and stuff on iTunes. And also tell your friends and subscribe and tell them to subscribe and all that so you never miss an episode. You can also follow us all on Twitter. Stubbsy is at Mike Stubbsy. Nailz is at Max Shanks. And I am at Colm_Ahern. And of course, God is Geek is also on Twitter at God is a Geek. And on Facebook, facebook.com/God is Geek. And on YouTube, youtube.com/God is Geek. And of course, godisgeek.com itself for all of your news, reviews, videos, esports, everything, podcasts, whatever you may want in the video game space. So once again, thank you very much for listening, and this is the part where we must bid farewell to our listeners, lads. So please say goodbye, Stubbsy.
Goodbye, Stubbsy.
Say goodbye, Nailz.
Goodbye, Nailz.
And say goodbye, Colm Slán Go Fóill.